It's what's trending now.
One of the biggest and most common mistakes parents can make is to try to be their child's best friend. And I know that you want to love your child and be supportive. Being their friend means like the lines of authority get blurred when it comes time for discipline. And joining us this morning is the family therapist, Dr. Aldewan Tart. Dr. Tart, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, man, happy to have you. Let's talk about, defining parental roles. What happens, when parents try to befriend their children. Give us a good balance, Dr. Tart.
All right, when we think about parenting, it's really about having the good mix of love and discipline at the same time. And any parent knows how difficult that can be. But what we're looking for is relationship first. Rickey, how many parents have you seen, and you know this because of how many kids that you parented and mentored, when we try to discipline before the relationship and the love was strong? That always backfires.
Right. Tell me when there's too much discipline and not enough love and affection.
Yeah, but we can also go the other direction of where there's so much love and then no discipline. And then you have kids who you love, but they have no structure and no order, and they end up actually disrespecting you. So the mix is what we want is we want to be able to establish that love and that consistent connection first. Then we want to build in consistency. To the key is we want to have time and consistency and then discipline. A lot of times we don't have to discipline our kids when we already have that structure, that consistency, and every day is almost the same, but we also allow you to be able to make mistakes, be able to talk about it, and our kids have the W word. If there's anything I want people to remember, our kids need to feel warmth. And warmth is what psychologists explain is your kids feeling love so that when they're disciplined, they understand it as correction versus feeling abused or taken advantage of.
That's right.
Parents just mean.
Yeah. And one of the words that you just said, Dr. Tart, that stood out to me was consistency. And, sometimes, especially when there's two households or the parents aren't together or there's a co-parenting type situation going on, there can be inconsistencies in how the children are disciplined. What advice do you have for that? Like, can this type of parallel parenting exist and work?
Well, it has to. Kids know how to navigate two environments that are similar, but when they're totally different, it's difficult. So what I recommend is parents, regardless of what happened in your relationship, we should be great co-parents. We should be able to have meetings, at least once or twice a month about how things are going and how do we get on the same page with consistency, quality time, making sure homework is done, being able to talk to kids and just spend face time. A lot of times we make the mistakes of just giving kids directives versus actually spending time with them and getting to know what's going on in their world. So, yes, the blending of families and talking as parents is necessary. Even if you should be able to communicate via email to say, all right, when's the homework due? Or what's going on with graduation? What do we need to do about these scholarships and SAT scores and track and so on and so forth? We're obligated to make sure that we're consistent with our kids regardless of what happens in a relationship.
Yeah. Dr. Tart, a lot of kids have situations where they live with, time with them, with one parent and time with the other parent. And, one parent just straight up love, discipline, and structure. And so what happens is when the kids want to go to the other parent where, the parent is more lenient, does that confuse kids?
It does, but a lot of times parents kind of balance it off. Like if they feel like they have an overly punitive dad, just does structure, or a mom who's too harsh, the other parent won't want to, they'll see the need of an affection and grace and forgiveness. So a lot of times parents try to balance it out. But in a healthy relationship, both parents are able to do both. They're able to have somewhat similar structure and being able to talk about it. Here's the piece. If you talk to your kids, a lot of times they'll tell you what they need. They'll say, hey, yeah, I get it. I need to do X, Y, and Z, but I need a little softness right now. You haven't hugged me in a week. Or you've given me 5 directives or told me what I do wrong, but you haven't told me what I'm doing right. And we haven't been on a daddy-daughter date or a mom-son date in a year. But I'll clean my room up, take a shower, do this, do that. Most kids need love and affection. That's the buffer, even when we are a little bit too harsh with our words, because all parents are human. But what we cannot afford to not give our kids is that love and that affection and time. Love is spelled Time when it comes to our kids, and that's why we have to work less or stop watching this Netflix, get off YouTube. All that stuff is cool, and I'm on it too. But first thing we need is 15 minutes alone with each one of our kids on a daily basis to check in and see them so that they know that not only do we see them, but we feel them. And when kids know that we feel them, that's that warmth that makes kids feel loved. That way love and discipline can go together.
That's all. That's money. Hey,
how you going to discipline me if you don't feel me?
No,
that's right.
Hey, come on, man. Look, Dr. Tart, see, me and Crystal, we consider ourselves kind of fun parents. Like, we always have fun. We always cracking jokes and stuff, but we know when it's time to be serious, and we always set those boundaries with our kids. Like, we let them know, look, don't get it twisted now. You know, structure, discipline always comes first. We're going to have fun. We're going to have a good time. Can that be confused with trying to be your friends, being friends to your kids if you like always kind of laughing and joking around too much or whatever with your kids? I mean, it's working out for us, but sometimes that can be confusing to the kid.
No, it's needed. It's needed. Like and this surprised me because y'all know I have a teenager. She's on the way, hopefully, to Howard, y'all. HU. You know, I pray, but I noticed that when she turned like 14, 15, 16, I had to go more towards the friend range. Why? Because we have to do things together. We have to go on dates. We have to go to virtual reality gaming and daddy-daughter dances, even though she's a teenager. Why is that important? Because that friendship, that's the bridge to your new relationship. You're not going to discipline a 22-year-old, a 23-year-old, a 25-year-old. You have to have that bond. And this is especially true for the mothers listening. The average daughter talks to her mom at least 5 to 7 times a week. 5 to 7 times a week.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And if you don't have that bond, you don't have that connection, then your child doesn't have that sense of warmth. And every kid is different. I'm not saying if your child doesn't talk to you every day that you fail somehow as a mom, but we need to have that emotional connection, which means that the base of it is friendship, but with respect for authority. That's the difference.
Right. Go ahead, Special K. You was about to say?
Oh, no, I was just agreeing with what he said.
Okay. Now, Dr. Tart, if anybody want to reach you, thank you so much. This is valuable information as we're learning, as time go on, because sometimes, our parents, they did the best they could with what they knew, but you always do better when you know better, and we really appreciate this information. If anybody want to reach you, how can they find you?
Yeah, just go to drtart.com. That's DRTARTT.com, or hop on Instagram at Dr. Tart, at DRTARTT. And parents, just remember warmth. Just make sure your kids know that you feel them. And I mean, you agree. Yeah. They know that you feel them. You feel them.
There it is. All right, man. Appreciate that, Doctor. The one and only Dr. Aldewan Tart.